Hey guys, so I just wanted to make this quick video, touch base with you all, and explain my tonsillectomy procedure. I know everybody's just going to be different, but I just want to share, my story, and hopefully for anyone that's watching this video, because they're about to have a tonsillectomy, or they want to have a tonsillectomy, I hope this answers your questions. So, when I was 21, I'm 25 now, my tonsils started giving me the worst kind of problems. I went to a party, and this was the first time they ever swelled up. I went to a party, came home around 5 o'clock in the morning. By the time I woke up, my tonsils were huge. I had the white stripes on them. I went to urgent care, and they told me I had strep. So they put me on antibiotics for a week, and since then I just would get either tonsillitis or strep throat over and over and over and over again. So last year was pretty much the last straw. I got strep 5 times in about 6-7 months, and I decided enough was enough. So I met with an ENT, which is eyes, nose, throat specialist. I told him about what was going on. He asked me my family history. Everybody in my family has had their tonsils taken out, so they've all had tonsillectomies. Based on, because he can pull up my charts based on the amount of times that I had been in to see the doctor to get throat cultures done, and the amount of times that they either came back with tonsillitis or strep A. We both decided that it would be a good idea to get my tonsils taken out. Getting them taken out as an adult is a lot, I wouldn't say it's a lot worse than getting them taken out as a child. There's just a lot more complications, and recovery time tends to double. So I went in, was it like October, September, October, whatever, somewhere around there. And I could either get it done that weekend, which I couldn't do because I was still in school, or we set it for December 22nd, so 3 days before Christmas, which, like, happy early Christmas to me, but I decided to go ahead and go for that one, because I'd be out of school. So, pre-op, which is, like, before you go in, not the day of surgery, but before, like, I'd say, like, a week before. I went in, he explained everything, the entire procedure, asked me if I had any questions. He wrote me my script for Norco for post-op. Am I missing anything? Oh yes, I did end up getting strep. Was it like 2.5-3 weeks before I was scheduled for surgery, so they had to knock that out. They gave me like heavy duty antibiotics. They gave me a shot in my butt, which was awesome. Basically, if you have any traces of any kind of infection, like cold, flu, fever, when you're going in for surgery, you cannot go under anesthesia. So they retested me. I was negative for everything. So day of surgery, any woman that's of childbearing age is going to have a pregnancy test, because if you're pregnant you can't go under anesthesia because it can cause complications or terminate pregnancy. So mine came back negative. They gave me an IV drip with fentanyl and Valium, I believe. I don't remember. I think that's what they told me. I was kind of out of it at that point. Waited about 45 minutes. People came in, asked me, do you have any piercings anywhere, just in case, there's complications and they have to do something. Which I thought was kind of an odd question, but I do have a tongue ring, so they made me take that out. You can't have anything in your mouth, due to, like, swelling, in case anything happens and you don't want to, like, nick it or have to maneuver around it. So I take that out. So by the time they wheel me back into the actual operating room and chase me onto the operating table, which looks like something out of a horror movie, I'm not even going to lie. Anesthesiologist came in, told me to count backwards from 10. I did try and fight it just because my best friend Ben tried to do it, and he had some interesting results, so I tried it. The only thing that really happened was it took me longer to go under, and I could feel like my whole body started to go numb and really heavy, and then everything just started stinging. Procedure itself takes about 35 to 45 minutes. If there's no complications. So I woke up and remember, like, who I was, where I was, what the hell was going on. I did wake up like a CPAP mask on, so anything that's gonna, put for oxygen reasons, which I tried to, like, claw that off my face. I had no idea where I was. I started freaking out a little bit, panicking. I did wake up feeling super cold, like none of my extremities like worked the way that I wanted them to, and I flipped my shit. I ended up like bawling my eyes out. Because I had no idea what the hell was going on. And then little bit by little bit, I started, feeling back to my normal self. So by the time they let me go, which I think was like an hour, hour and a half after my procedure, I was completely fine to walk. I mean, I could adjust myself, I put my tongue ring back in, I could, like, everything worked. But for security purposes and liability reasons, they made me sit in a wheelchair and then wheeled me out to the car. Came home. I didn't feel particularly bad right after surgery or for the rest of that day. I mean, I tried to sleep as much as possible, which later on that week, I'll actually get to that later, was pretty much impossible. I could speak a little bit. Day through day 7, so 2 through 7, I didn't utter a single word. I wish like I'd done beforehand, because I would have just gotten like a whiteboard and written down everything from it for people to get me things. So I ended up just writing them on pieces of paper. I didn't even want to swallow my spit because it was too painful. And drinking water, I just hated. I hate drinking water, period, even more so when I don't feel good. So I kept this water bottle by me at all times, and it would just continually like spit out my spit, which is never really a good idea because you have to keep the back of your throat coated, because if it gets too dry, then the any scabs that are going to start to form are going to start cracking, and if they crack too early, it can start hemorrhaging, which is a really big issue, because then you have to run back to the hospital, have to cauterize it to make sure you don't, bleed too much and all that good stuff. So I pretty much lived for every 4 hours of taking my Norco, which, it's like a pill that's like that big, so trying to swallow that when you can't even swallow like your own spit was just painful. So I just decided to like crush it up and either put it in a little bit of like a hot drink or put it in applesauce. Applesauce did tend to be a little too acidic. You can't eat any ice cream. I know that when everyone gets their tonsils taken out as a kid, they say eat a lot of ice cream. You can't do that. The dairy in the ice cream creates a lot of mucus in the back of your throat, which just complicates everything, and the healing time it makes it a lot longer. So I went on this hunt to go and try and find sorbet, because sherbet and ice cream both have milk in them, where sorbet does not. So trying to find any kind of sorbet that wasn't, lemon, lime, or any kind of berry that's going to be super acidic. It was really hard. I finally just gave up and just got a raspberry one, which is a really bad idea because the acidity and it just made it sting and feel so much worse. I didn't even eat it. I got like 2 bites in before I gave up. I'd say about the first week I did lose about 10 pounds, which is normal because you're not eating anything, you're not really drinking anything, but you do have to keep yourself hydrated as much as it hurts, because it helps speed up healing time and makes it so everything heals without any complications. So that was pretty much my first week. Sleeping was pretty much just a negative ghostwriter, simply because your uvula and your tongue swell up so much so your uvula is the dangling thing in the back of your mouth, so that and your tongue are swelled up to the point where they're pretty much touching. So even sitting up, I was trying not to gag on my own body parts. I mean, I swear my body's always up trying to kill me. Laying down, because I only ever sleep with one pillow, just was not happening. I'd sleep with about 4 or 5 and would just wake up with the worst back pain and neck pain, and I'd even like wake up choking. So I'd have to sleep like in my living room on the sofa, like sitting up, which is just not comfortable. So by day 7, so first week down was like absolute torture. You can't drive while you're on Norco. I did do that Christmas Eve. I had taken a Norco and then I drove, which under no circumstances would I ever recommend. I mean, yes, you technically can't get a DUI for it, but it's not worth it. I mean, I did feel a little loopy, but I wasn't like completely out of control. But so day 7 rolls around. I'm feeling a little bit better. I decided to go visit my family because I took 2 weeks off work. So week 1 I stayed home. Week 2 I went up to go see my family in Chico and finish recovering. Up there I did not take any Norco the night before, the day of, so I drove up there. I did try and eat solid food, and I still hadn't taken a Norco that day, because by that week 1 I was trying to just wean myself off of it. That went okay. It was a little hard, but I was getting to the point where I was really hungry, so I didn't care at that point. I paid for it dearly. I woke up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning in the worst pain since I'd had the surgery. I mean, week 1 is just like they say like day 1 through 3 is the worst, and then it starts getting worse. For me, it was just like a steady pain the entire time. It tended to be a lot worse when I woke up. then later on in the day. But I was almost in tears. Day 8. I tried to eat too much, too soon, too quickly, all that stuff. I didn't end up knocking any of the scabs off or bleeding, which is a good thing, but it sure as hell felt like it. So I ended up having to take 2 Norco. But after that, it was smooth sailing. I'd get a little bit better each day. I was able to start talking again. And by the end of the 2 weeks, I was fine. I was eating chips, I was eating sandwiches, I was eating hamburgers. I was back to eating like my normal diet. But I ended up not taking any more Norco after that, so I didn't even finish the prescription that they gave me. Post-op, I had to go back and see him. Was it like probably a week after I got back from Chico, so 3 weeks after my surgery. He took a look at my mouth. Everything had healed perfectly. He did give me my biopsy results of my tonsils. The right one was way larger than it should have been. The left one was only minimally smaller, or larger than it should have been, but both of them had scarring and pockets because of the repeated amounts of times that they would swell up and turn white. So it was a good thing they came out. Since then, I've had no swelling. No, obviously, because I don't have tonsils anymore, but I don't get strep anymore. Of course, now that I say that, I'll probably wake up tomorrow and have it. It's just how it works. And I've had no issues back there in my throat. You know, you've heard nightmares about, oh, if you don't end up taking out all the tonsils, it can grow back. Whether or not that's true, don't know, don't care. Mine haven't, and I've been a lot happier because I'm not sick all the time since they've come out. So for me, it was more of a, I didn't want to have it done, but due to the fact that everybody in my family has had a tonsillectomy, that genetically and, you know, biologically, it was just like the right thing to do. Otherwise, I was just going to be miserable for my entire life, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse, and I was getting more and more and more flare-ups. So just, it was worth it for me, but it's not something I would ever do again if I had to. It was really painful, but you know, in hindsight, it was necessary. But just make sure that if you end up having a tonsillectomy, you do everything the doctor says. You don't overstrain yourself, and you make sure to take enough time off work. I mean, for me, I know my body. I know that it would take me. I probably could have gone back to work after a week, but I just decided not to strain myself and complicate the situation, so I took 2 weeks off, which for me was perfect. Some people can take a week, some people it might take 4. And everybody's body heals differently. But yeah, I think that's about it. I did have to learn how to like drink water, and because I was so used to, you know, drinking water with like these big huge tonsils, that without them I had this like empty void of nothing, and my body wasn't used to it. So anytime water would hit back there, it would just like come back up. So I had to like be like a 3-year-old and learn how to drink water again. But you know, that was 7 months ago. I've had no issues since then. I know if you ever get your wisdom teeth taken out, they will ask you whether or not you want to keep yours. They will not let you keep your tonsils. Not that anybody would want to. I asked because one of my family members wanted them, but for biological hazard reasons, you can't, because they have to biopsy them and whatnot. But it was not a fun experience, but I think I'll just end with it was worth it. So yeah, thanks, bye.